the birthday boy, Main Event McNulty. Phil, happy birthday, man.
Thank you very much. I made it a really good. I wanted to work today, not feeling it. I was just like, I'm so tired. And the first thing they asked was, "Hey, Mr. McNulty, how was your birthday weekend?" I said, "I am more tired now than I was going into this 4-day break."
Did you do anything special?
Yes, my girlfriend planned a lovely, lovely murder mystery live action clue thing at my house. So just my family. So it was my family and my girlfriend, and my brother's fiance, and so they all had like things mailed out to them, and they were like, I was Mr. Green, right? And then they had my brother was Wadsworth the butler, his fiance was Mrs. White, there was Miss Peacock, and a pool boy named Mr. Burgundy. So
Uh, Very appropriate because we have a mystery, a wrestling mystery. Who shot Johnny Bravo? And that mystery is resolved last week on Impact Wrestling. Impact Wrestling actually starts off with our favorite wrestling personality, Scott D'Amore. He's at the hospital visiting, checking up on Johnny Bravo, who was still in a coma at the beginning of the show. I thought Scott D'Amore was actually really funny in this segment.
when he was like, "Oh, so pull the plug," it was
Yeah.
hysterical. This is good Scott D'Amore. This is Impact Wrestling at its finest.
Yep.
Storytelling and characters who are true to themselves. And that's really what professional wrestling is all about. Good storylines, stay true to yourself. And I love the incompetence of Scott D'Amore coming in and being pull the plug. Because that's such a Scott. He's the worst wrestling executive already in wrestling. Just keep it.
Yeah. So Scott D'Amore has power of attorney over Johnny Bravo's estate, which is funny. The doctor is Ross Foreman, who is the doctor in every Impact wrestling skit, and he comes in and he says he has to talk to Scott D'Amore, and Scott D'Amore's like, "Say no more, pull the plug," and uh, the doctor is like, "No, it's actually good news. He's progressing, but this Johnny Bravo might not be the Johnny Bravo you've known in the past." And Scott D'Amore is like, "Well, that's really not a bad thing."
It was so good. I'm gonna praise Impact Wrestling to make me wrestling sane again. Because this week it's the ebb and flows of wrestling. When you love something, you love it, and when you hate it, you hate it.
So after this segment, we go to the ring for our first match as part of the Knockouts Tag Team Title Tournament. We have Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan against the new team, the Sea Stars. Um, it was nice to see new knockouts. We've pretty much had the same roster since summer, so it was nice to see some new faces on the show. No surprise here, though. Hogan and Steelz get the victory. They're one of the favorites in this tournament.
This for the first time in a long time. Kiera Hogan looked like a star. I think her and Tasha Steelz are just like they're getting so good and so comfortable. I'm excited to see where this win takes them. And the Sea Stars are okay. I was put off by their entrance when they were trying to reel them in, but they could go. They what they need is they need a gimmick change and a costume change because it screams jobber right now. But their in-ring work is really good. Like I was really tall girl, she was awesome, and I thought her selling ability was well. It was nice. So maybe just a refresh in gear and name and gimmick would suit them very well.
Yeah, so the Sea Stars are Ashley Vox, who I think has worked for Impact in the past, and our tag team partner. I believe that. Well, first off, we have uh, Josh Matthews and Matt Stryker on commentary. It was nice to see a reunion between them. They were WWE ECW uh, commentators, so I always enjoyed them together. So this was nice. And I think it's other than a backstage segment, this is Matt Stryker's first appearance on the main Impact show.
I hope he stays.
Yeah.
I think, sometimes a three-man booth can be challenging. We've seen it with the WWE, we've seen it with AEW. And I think Josh Matthews and Madison Rayne have really good chemistry, but I love Stryker's professionalism he brought into it. Like after every match, he would pull out like, now the reason why they're doing this. He really explained some stuff. So if you were a first-time viewer, Matt Stryker really filled you in the entire show. It's really awesome.
Yeah, he was great. Like I was saying, the C stars, they're Ashley Vox and Delmy Eho, I think her name is. But I think in real life they're sisters. So I don't know. Like you said, new names. If you can't pronounce their names, especially Delmy Eho, it's hard to get behind someone.
And just that Delmy is a name you've never heard. So even if she just kept it as that, you know who it was.
Yeah.
So.
Next up, we have another knockout segment. This is backstage. We have Jordynne Grace with her mystery opponent, or her mystery tag team partner. This was someone neither of us guessed. I was thinking it was Gail Kim, but it is ECW original Jazz, which I actually really like. She just retired, and this is like her swan song.
Oh, she's gonna get so jobbed out next week. She's gonna so get jobbed out next week. She's just there to take the pin.
Wow, man, that would be that wouldn't be a good look.
I hope it happens. If not to entertain us.
You're heartless, Phil.
The preview image they showed of her and Jordynne Grace. Now I love Jordynne Grace, and again, it comes the same question: what the hell when it comes to poor Jordynne Grace? This poor girl, she just cannot seem to get a break since Bound for Glory.
Yeah, no, which leads us to keep speculating that her contract's almost over.
Oh,
But
wait till we get to later in the show. Someone is already out of here. They're already planting the seeds.
all right, so we get another backstage segment with this. This is our real favorite, not Scott D'Amore, but Ethan Page. He's bragging to Josh Alexander that someone took out a Big LG, which apparently Big LG is hurt. So just for our fantasy league, I needed to replace the Good Brothers, which I did with the Motor City Machine Guns, keeping it in Impact. But Ethan Page, so proud of himself. And then Josh Alexander tells him, "You idiot. They're the tag champions. We can't beat them if they're hurt."
Do you think this is planting the seeds for a North split?
That's what it seemed like, yeah, and that would be a way to write Ethan off the show.
Yep. The more this episode continued and revolved around Ethan Page, I just thought, man, he's gone. He's gone. I mean, good for him. Good on him though, because Impact, as much as we love it, to get more eyes on All Ego, Ethan Page should be for everybody.
Yeah, Ethan Page has a bright future ahead of him, for sure. So the next segment, I think, is like the highlight of the show. It's Wrestler Court. Now, we've been speculating, was there going to be another Wrestle House? We both enjoyed it so much. Forget about Wrestle House. I would love to have Wrestlers Court every week.
You know what? They one-upped us. We were so high on Wrestle House that we said, oh, we need another thing. They're taking different TV shows, which is awesome. They took the reality aspect of it, of like a Big Brother. Then they did the soap opera of Who Shot JR, like from Dallas, like Who Shot Johnny, right? And now they're doing like the Wrestlers Court based off of People's Court. And they keep the same cast over and over again. So it's like American Horror Story, where it's a new season and they play the same actors, they play just different roles. That's what this is, and it's so good. It makes me excited for next week's Impact. Like now that we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, no, we're not the only ones who love it. My dog upstairs, crazy about Wrestler's Court, going nuts upstairs. I think we probably had a package delivered, but after the wrestler, one of the funny things about the Court, when they were listing all the fingerprints on the gun, Cody Deaner, uh, everyone in the room basically, and Brian Pillman.
My favorite thing about this was the little captions underneath it, and they were going like when they were explaining the inside terms of wrestling, and it was like the boys, and it's like an unpopular name now, right? Talking about a group of wrestlers in the back, the boys, and then Johnny Swinger, Carney running the territories, meaning I was like, this is so good. If you had no clue about wrestling, Impact does a great job of it seeming like it's like every episode, it's an almost Attitude Era-ish where every episode feels like it could be an introduction episode to somebody joining in on the show. Like, so it doesn't make you feel left out and it really brings you in. And that's something I feel that could be lost in today's wrestling. Like, we
Yeah.
get so on inside terms and everything that Impact feels like it's the only show out there that wants to bring in new fans.
Yeah, it's crazy when we were first exposed to Wrestle House. I was like, "Oh, what is this?" But it's turned out to be some of the best TV Impact has done. Um, so after the first segment of Wrestler's Court, we get the Beat Rohit challenge. He is facing Suicide, and he was like, Suicide, you don't even deserve a title shot. I know it's really you, TJP. I'll wrestle you, but it's non-title. You don't deserve a title shot. And the whole while, he's thinking it's TJP, which leads the viewer, the smart viewer, to know that it's not really TJP. And during the match, TJP comes out. Rohit is distracted. After he pulls off the mask, and it's clearly Crazy Steve, and Crazy Steve gets the roll up win. So now Crazy Steve gets a title shot at Rohit.
And a nice segment. It was, I think it was. I mean, I think it's doing what it's supposed to do because it's giving. You're getting Crazy Steve, and do you like the little like the backstage segment later that goes on when it's like, did you see his face? And we know that Crazy Steve is legally blind.
Yeah,
So, but he goes, oh, I didn't see anything. I thought that was an awesome play to his character.
yeah. So let's just talk about that segment now.
Yeah.
They're backstage afterwards. It's TJP, Hornswoggle, and Crazy Steve. They're all like patting each other on the back for screwing over Rohit. And who comes in? Brian Myers, and he just like puts them all down. Basically, calls Crazy Steve a clown, which is spot on, but having a different meaning. And I would love if somehow Crazy Steve wins the X Division title, and this leads to Brian Myers versus Crazy Steve, or even if it ends up with TJP and Brian Myers for the X Division. Get the belt on Brian Myers, and let's start elevating that X Division title.
This was so good. We've called this division the division of losers. And no offense to any of these wrestlers in there. No offense to Hornswoggle, right? No offense to Crazy Steve, right? They've just been in positions over the years where they've been jokes, been made fun of, have been the enhancement talent, right? And TJP has just not won any matches. He hasn't won anything. So we called them the division of losers. And we've called for Brian Myers to come out and basically say, you guys are losers. The guy who's the champion's the loser. Only confirms what we've been saying. And it's so good that it's Brian Myers, who I think is going to bring that X Division back to excellence.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully it happens. We go into the locker room where Sami Callihan is, psyching Ken Shamrock up. He has a title. He has a title shot against Rich Swann this episode. But who walks in? The real champion, at least in his own mind, Moose, and he's basically telling Shamrock, you have a title shot, but I'm the real champion. And Ken Shamrock starts to flip out. Sami Callihan has to hold him back. This is really interesting. Is it foreshadowing to a Moose Ken Shamrock, or is it just foreshadowing to Moose versus Rich Swann, where they both feel they're world champions?
I think this is going to lead to Moose versus Rich Swann. I think Moose goes over, and I think it because if we notice each week, Moose face going up to a face, going up to a heel. He just does not care. Like he basically tells everybody, and I think that's what it's setting up for. I think it's setting up Moose versus the world, essentially, and that's a great story arc for his character because he is a heel in the traditional sense of what a heel is, but his character is going above and beyond those, typical heel and face movements. They're just making him be the badass that he is, and that's so well built. Like all the props in the world to Impact. Like if you see this guy each week, it could be a first introductory episode, and you're like, that is the dude.
Yeah, and I love the little music they play whenever Moose is about to step into a scene. It's just a
He,
nice touch.
he's such a star, and they make you feel, you know, AEW and WWE should use this. He doesn't wrestle every week. It makes it special, but his backstage segments are so memorable. I would tell John Moxley, take a look at Moose. Take a look. Moose can play angry. Moose can play suave. Moose can play badass. Moose can be funny. Mox doesn't have that range, and I don't think he tries to have that range. And I think any champion should take a look at what Moose is doing to make yourself feel like a special attraction.
Yeah. So next up, another new face. We get Killer Kelly with Renee Michelle seconding her to ring against Kimber Lee. Kelly and Renee are both are a team in the Knockouts Tag Tournament. Renee Michelle actually uh, Drake Maverick's wife, and people may remember her from the 24/7 title skits. But it's as nice as it was to see a new face. You knew Kimberly was getting the victory here. The main thing is Susie appears after the match, and Impact is really doing. They're making the most of doing these empty studio tapings. They did some great stuff with getting Susie and Sue Young on stage at the same time, even passing each other on the ramp, which, hats off to them. They're doing a killer job.
You, Speaking of Killer Kelly looks badass. So I thought she was gonna beat Melissa Joan Hard Times like that. And don't they just look so good, both of them coming out? And I thought this would have been a nice win for Killer Kelly with Renee Michelle to
Yeah,
because they're going up against Jazz and Jordan Grace. Maybe as Kimberly's been doing nothing but putting over talent. I don't understand this concept of having her. Maybe if they cheated to win, I didn't really like the clean ending. Just to
right.
get some validity to that next tag team match that's coming up next week. But I really loved, but those two ladies look like stars, and I was just like, "Oh, I see you."
Yeah, no, I totally agree. They have a great look. Hopefully, it's not just one and done for them, but they're actually new fixtures on the roster.
Agreed.
What'd you think of the Susie Sue Young
I
stuff?
I love what Impact's trying to do with it. I just think that I was never really into the Susie or Sue Young gimmick. I appreciate that they still try to make it work. I think they're really making chicken salad out of chicken shit with Kylie Ray leaving, so they're trying to fill whatever program they have with this. Is it running a little long? Yes. Is it acceptable that it is under the circumstances? Yeah.
Next up, we get interview segment with the Motor City Machine Guns. Alex Shelley is back in action, which I was surprised. I thought he was going to be out for a long time, but they throw out the challenge. They want Triple XL next week, which is tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that match.
Yeah, they're badass. They're just but that's something that can't be taught. No matter how many promo schools you go to, no matter who teaches you, You either have it or you don't. I feel like you can. And Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin have it. You know, you believe what they say. They say it in a believable manner. They're just good talents all around, and that beat down a couple weeks ago by Triple XL only enhances the story. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. Another backstage segment. Rich Swan's checking on his buddy Willie Mack. Chris Bay comes in, interrupts them. He kind of disrespects Willie Mack, which I can't really blame him. Willie Mack's been made to look like a jobber the last several months. But to be honest, Chris Bay doesn't look any better. So
This is so all right. This is so weird because didn't the title seem like the most important title? You know what they say? It's not the title that makes the man; it's the man that makes the title. We're getting that now. We're really seeing the belt has. I feel like has just gone was up here to down here. You know, it just shows you Eddie Edwards. It shows you, Eric Young. It shows you that those guys held the title for a high regard. They put a prestige on the title. Rich Swann coming around dancing with it. You just don't believe it, especially on who his opponent was going to be later that night. Who he hangs out first, the Rascals. Now Willie Mack and Chris Bay. We've talked about these guys losers. You know, you judge a person by the company they keep.
yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. When Eddie Edwards was the champion, he was defending it every week, the open challenge. Um, yeah, no, Rich Swann being buddied up next to perennial losers like the Rascals and Willie Mack doesn't do him or the title any favors. Next up is we're back in the ring. We get Ethan Page. The Good Brothers are said they would have a phenomenal opponent for him. They hinted at Uncle Allen, and it is the we nominal one, AJ AJ Swoggle. Hornswoggle dressed as AJ Styles. This was pretty funny. Very surprised at the outcome, but I guess I really shouldn't be because we've been speculating that Ethan Page is out the door and he takes the clean loss to Swoggle.
You know, didn't AJ Styles TNA music when that hit? Didn't that get you pumped?
Oh yeah,
Ever mind, that took me back. I'm just like, oh man, I remember these times. It made me like hate his current theme because I just remembered how badass that theme was. They do a good Impact does a good job of playing to their history. Like
yeah,
it's very tongue in cheek, and I love how they're not afraid to name the other. Like Jazz wasn't afraid to say, "Hey, I was WWE Women's Champion." They're not afraid to of the big boys upstairs. I think that's super cool. But this is again, like we said, it plays to Ethan Page's character, his mic skills, his in ring ability and losing here clean, like we kind of expect, because we think he's on the bigger and better things.
So the conclusion of Wrestler's Court is next. Um, Rosemary's on. Is the witness. Tommy Dreamer is questioning her, and she admits that she never loved Bravo. She only married him for his virgin blood. Bravo comes in. He's out from his coma, and he's pissed off that Rosemary never loved him. But it's not her. She didn't do it. It ends up being Larry D. Did you ever see this coming?
The fact, the best part of wrestling almost in the past year, and especially since we're doing this podcast, is the fact that Larry D, when he said I didn't shoot him, came up clean. But when Lawrence D came up and Tommy Dreamer sold it, and he was like, none detected, right? Because that was just so good. They pay off everything so well. I mean, I now I'm interested in what Rosemary and Ty are. They going to be heels now after rebuilding them as faces
Yeah.
for the better part of, since Bound for Glory. So the summer, like it's just more of these segments. Judge D'Lo Brown absolutely killed me. The this was such a good showing of all of Impact's talent that's not on TV right now, like
Yeah,
wrestling.
yeah. A lot of people were good in this. Madison as Johnny Swinger's attorney because she's the only one who even remotely likes him. I thought was funny. Taya didn't even really seem to care that Rosemary didn't never loved Bravo and only wanted him for his blood. So it'll be interesting if they do turn heel because that's very heelish.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm excited. There's so many, but isn't that what we always say about Impact? We're excited, and I think
Yeah.
that's good to have in professional wrestling. Like it's the people. Look at my webcam. Watch Impact Wrestling if you have it. You gotta watch it. Support the product. It's Cyber. It's Black Friday. Shop small. Watch Impact.
So we get another throwaway match. This is Falaba versus Davari, and I was like, oh, they're either building up Davari, who is a recent return to Impact, or they're going to make up for Job and Fala out to Hernandez. And neither. It's just a throwaway match because Eric Young and Joe Doring come out and they just level them both. The official ruling is Fala Ba gets the win by DQ because they hit Ba first.
Eh, Where is this going? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no. But Rhino comes out, tries to get revenge for them beating him up and beating Heath up, and they lay him out. Maybe we'll get Rhino and EY for a while, or Rhino and Joe Doring. But yeah, there. This is like the one segment where you really don't know what's going on.
Mhm. I mean, I still don't know how to feel like this. Do you think it brings Eric Young down a bit?
Um, Not really. I like the idea of bringing in some badass from Japan, who kind of has a throwback look to him.
Mm.
I don't know. Call me old school. I love an old cowboy hat wearing badass.
I mean, I think I'm interested. You know what it is? Eric Young's so good all around that you wonder why they pair people with him. But if it's gonna make this Joe Doring into whatever, then let's go see
Yeah,
it. Impact has shown me enough good faith that I'm here to ride it out.
yeah. So main event time: Rich Swann versus Ken Shamrock. Swan gets the win. The real story, though, is after the match, the beatdown's going on, and Eddie Edwards comes out for the save. And Sammy Callahan, Eddie Edwards have great history in the past. The whole botched eye shot with the baseball bat was a serious injury. Really threatened Eddie Edwards' career. And they sort of they're going back to it, but this time they're able to work it and use blood. And I don't know. I thought it was really well done. And Sammy Callahan, Eddie Edwards, that feud has so much history. Give it to me forever.
Eddie Edwards is the fucking man, and I'll go ahead. And I'm just not saying that because he's a friend and a business partner, but
Yeah,
he is just so good as a face. Like no, very. It's so rare since the Attitude Era to find someone who's just a good guy that no matter he doesn't even have to speak and you're rooting for him. But when he said "Come at me, bitch," and you knew he was gonna eat that bat to the face, him selling it is just it makes you it made my blood boil. Like I want to see him beat the shit out of Sammy Callahan. And that's what professional wrestling is. It's so good.
yeah. Whenever Sammy and Eddie are together, they're going to just start fighting. It reminds me a lot of like whenever Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty would get in the ring, whether it was in a Royal Rumble, like you knew they were going to start fighting because they had such history with Shawn throwing Marty through the window. So there's some feuds you can always go back to, and they'll be great.
And it's nice because it's been a long time since they feuded, but it's still fresh and in people's minds. And it's nice that if they're getting new eyes on the product, that they sell this history, and you can just sit there and listen to the commentary, see the action, and you're already caught up. It's the best 2 hours of wrestling every week.
Yep. So another episode of Impact is in the can. Uh, Ready to talk some AEW. I don't know. I think your opinions on AEW are going to be a little different, based on our messages back and forth.
On Wednesday, Thanksgiving was Thursday. My birthday was Friday. So normally on Wednesday nights, I'll go over to my folks' place, and hang out, watch it with my sister and my brother, right? We'll watch AEW. So I couldn't watch it like this week there because with getting ready for Thanksgiving and my birthday, I told them, listen, I got to stay home on Wednesday. So this is the first time I've sat down with my girlfriend and said, hey, we're going to watch just you and me 2 hours of AEW, professional wrestling, right? So we're watching it, and the first match. Well, we'll go through, but after the first hour, I was almost embarrassed by AEW, and I haven't felt. I don't know if it's because I was with my girlfriend and we were watching it, but sitting back and thinking of it, I texted you during the show. I said, "This is the most WWE episode of AEW I've ever seen," and I think it just put a bad taste in my mouth. Not that I'm a WWE hater, right? And I love the attitude here, but this felt modern WWE, and I don't want that. I want that alternative that they promised me. And I felt like besides a few segments, I could have been watching on Monday or Friday for all that mattered. So let's start off with the opening match of the night was Hangman Page versus John Silver. We saw Page hit the buckshot lariat on Johnny Silver to pick up the victory. Your thoughts?
I thought the commentary team did a great job incorporating the storylines from being the Elite into this match, saying how Dark Order's trying to recruit Page, also just saying how over Johnny Silver is and how he's. I think JR called him the breakout star of the Dark Order, which is high praise from JR.
This got me real good in the beginning because in the WWE or anything, professional wrestling tells you this: the little guy will get no offense. Adam Hangman Page did a huge favor for John Silver because he's just probably the nicest guy in the world. I love Johnny Hungy. I love his whole goofy shtick. Page gave him some great offense, and you wouldn't normally see that.
Yeah, no. So I thought right off the bat, good opening match. I'm thinking, what's Phil talking about?
Right, and then they introduce next match up: Powerhouse Hobbs versus Lee Johnson. Powerhouse Hobbs. Come on.
You're not a fan, I take it.
What did you think when they said Powerhouse Hobbs?
I actually kind of liked it.
Oh my God. I love you, Mark, but I cannot get behind the name Powerhouse Hobbs. Not even like Will Powerhouse Hobbs or the Powerhouse Will Hobbs. Powerhouse is his first name. Oh. And then it was awkward on commentary because they were calling him Will and having to backtrack and say, "Well, Powerhouse," and I'm just like, "Oh God." And then he comes out. First of all, what do you think of Powerhouse Hobbs' presentation? How he first came out?
So he had this towel or something with a big hole cut in it. That looked terrible. I know they're trying to recreate the old Taz with the towel over the head. And when Taz did it, he looked badass. This looked almost like some weird what's it called? The outlaws in the old Western movies would wear them.
Poncho.
Yeah. Chavo Guerrero rocked it when he was
It
part of La Familia with Edge and
it looks like
yeah, it doesn't
Will
work for
Hobbs.
Powerhouse Hobbs.
It,
I
it,
do
it
go
looked
ahead.
like Powerhouse Hobbs took his mom's shag carpet rug that's in the bathroom, cut a hole in the middle, and put it on him.
Yeah, I do like he was wearing I assume black and orange. You don't like it?
I don't like the fact that they're trying to make him look like Taz. The towel, the singlet. I liked him better. I guess I like that Luke Cage look he had. The taped up wrist, the jeans, no shirt. Like that's a guy I would think, oh my god, he's gonna kick my ass. The wrestling singlet only very rarely works. I mean, you see Wardlow rock it, and Wardlow looks like a star. Will Hobbs looked good before. He didn't need the singlet change. It just feels very, well, he's Powerhouse Hobbs now, and he comes out like Taz, and he wears a singlet. So, and anyway, Hobbs defeated Lee Johnson, but the ending, the aftermatch segment is what works. Is Taz basically saying the disrespect that FTW Championship has? It's not recognized, and his mic gets cut twice.
I really love this segment. Um, Taz is great. He brings so much realism to everything he says. So when he's pissed off, I believe him. And then Cody coming out, and Cody, fires back with the comeback. If the FTW title holds so much value and prestige, why am I training your son and you're not? First off, I didn't even know Taz had a son who was training to be a wrestler. Second off, I didn't know he was a redhead, which blew my mind.
His son looks like, and his name's Hook. So like the Red
That's
Hook
a
section.
killer name. I love that.
This kid, if he comes up, I think he's going to be a star. We didn't even see him in the ring yet. We just see the way he looks, the name, presentation's everything in professional wrestling.
Yeah, no, that name is killer. I just love it.
This segment was killer. This is one of the after it ended, I turned to my girlfriend. I said, "Love professional wrestling. Forget the whole thing that happened beforehand. This is what I love. The management guy coming out, and isn't Cody such a dick?"
Yeah, no, he's positioned as a baby face, but he's a heel. He's a real life heel.
He's Triple H. This character is Triple H. I love it.
So far, the show sounds great.
I wasn't too put off from the match. The match was good. Will Hobbs is awesome, right? So the match itself made up for the repackaging error. I think it is, right? But then we get Top Flight, remarkable output last week versus the Hybrid Who. I mean the Hybrid 2. So
I'm going to say this. You obviously don't like the Hybrid 2. I feel like these are guys that are so underutilized on on AEW. They've been relegated to dark for a long time. Mm-hmm. If Top Flight is a way to get them on TV and to start building them back up from taking a ton of losses, I'm all for it. I feel like these guys are like really great in the ring, exciting. Jack Evans is an amazing high flyer. So I'm on board with, TH2 getting some victories.
I love Top Flight losing to the Hybrid 2.
Yeah.
What a good, because it sets up the story with the Bucks. It's setting up these guys who are young rookies, and you're really building a nice base for Top Flight. And I was surprised that the Hybrid 2 got the win. I mean, of all the teams, though, the Hybrid 2, after being so competitive with the Bucks, you'd think that they wouldn't lose to the Hybrid 2. I don't know. I think it's another one of those things where it was surprising, but in an okay way. So next up, the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho and Jake Hager defeat SCU of being the Christopher Daniels, Fallen Angel, and Frankie Kazarian. Let me ask your thoughts. What are your thoughts?
I liked it. I liked it for all the shenanigans going on the outside of the ring. I like that MJF and Santana are still like buddy buddy of the like of the original people who are part of the original part of the Inner Circle. Santana is the one who's taken a liking to MJF. Ortiz and Sammy Guevara are still on the fence, but I just loved all the interaction between everyone, and MJF cheating for Jericho to get the victory. I also like the fact that this is the first time Daniels and Jericho ever touched during their 30 years in wrestling.
30 years too late. Christopher Daniels looked bad. And I was watching with my girlfriend. She's like, "Who's Red Pants?" I'm like, "Oh, that's Christopher Daniels." She's like, "He's pretty bad, isn't he?" I'm like, "Yeah, he is." I had to explain, explain further in the back. Back in the day, he was awesome. But and then him being competitive against Jericho after Jericho being your first AEW champion, I get Chris is like the most given guy in the business, it seems like. You know what I mean? Orange, putting over Orange, MJF, right? But I think he's doing it to his own, to his own detriment. Christopher, he had to cheat to beat Christopher Daniels. Come on, that's another guy who's been losing matches. Same with Frankie Kazarian. Like these guys have been losing matches, and Jake Hager, who came about 2 weeks ago with a busted face after still being undefeated in MMA. You mean you're telling me your first ever world champion and a legit badass fighter couldn't beat old man Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian, who both have been jobbing out? It's another weird WWE decision to me.
I don't know. I mean, I look at SCU as the first AEW tag team champions. So although it was Kazarian and Scorpio Sky, so but I don't know. I still hold Daniels in high regard. I guess it's based off his body of work and not his recent work.
Oh, so I just couldn't get over. You know what I did like about this match, and something I noticed. Did you like the little box in the corner that had the colors? Like red was SCU and black was Jericho Hager, and it teamed up. It showed like their colors that they're on. I love that. That's like some old ESPN shit right there. When they would tell you like whether it be what was the right hockey team or was the right football team. I really liked that little introduction there. I hope it stays.
Yeah, no, it's just a little thing to present it as a legitimate sport. I like it.
So earlier in the night, we had a promo from Kenny Omega in a backstage interview where he just went off. This is Kenny's best promo in I don't know how long. Him just breaking down every good thing that Moxley ever has done so far. Him undercutting it each time and making it feel like his way of wrestling is not special and making himself feel special was amazing. And then he just gave an amazing sports like promo. Didn't it feel like he was like I got lost in his promo with how good it was.
Yeah, no, especially the last line about Moxley's dad saying his dad could kick dad's ass. That was just a great like cap on a great promo.
I turned to my girlfriend. I said, "This is professional wrestling 101." Like I love him doing that promo, which was so reality based and sports based and serious, And when he walks off, but then when he comes back and says, "Oh, I got one more thing about your dad. I don't think he was tough enough." I'm like, "Oh, Kenny, you shithead. I love you." It was, and then that set up that another Kenny Omega grandiose entrance, but where you see a silhouette and the girls are doing the broom, and you see Moxley's shadow come up behind him. What a great visual.
Yeah, no, that was really well done. Come on, Phil, this is a great show going on right now.
See, it had bits and pieces that I loved. Like, this was so good, and I don't think Kenny's the one who took Hangman out in the back. I mean, this is the one who took Moxley out in the back. I spoiled it. I think it's Hangman who took him out
And what would his reasoning be?
because he wants to get back into. He wants Kenny to win the belt and say, "Let's be a tag again. You've done your singles thing. You've won the belt. Now you can tag with me again." And I think it would be a nice way to get Hangman back into that, and maybe he helps him defeat Moxley. Maybe Kenny Omega wins clean, and then it's a no DQ match the next time, and Hangman helps Kenny retain, and that leads to Hangman versus Kenny for the belt. But I think it would be such a good story if it was Hangman who took him out just because he wants to tag with Kenny again.
I don't see that happening, but I would be on board for that. That's interesting.
Do you have any thoughts on who took Mox out last week?
Man, I just assumed it was Omega.
I hope it's not. I think it's I. So prediction. What do you think? Do you think this leads to next week? Do you think there's a title change next week?
I do. I think it's time for Kenny Omega to be the world champ.
I may bench Moxley so I don't lose those points. That's how much I don't believe Moxley's going to win. And I don't think that's necessary. Again, prediction's not bad in wrestling if the outcome is good, right?
Yeah. No, especially with him having a child on the way. Seems like a great way to take him off TV.
He has to go to Japan to defend his United States championship over there. So it just may be a nice way to shift him off for a bit.
Yeah.
So the next match up was Hikaru Shida versus Anna Jay in a match that was okay. I think I'm tired of Shida. What about you?
She's on your team too, getting you points. But the wrong person won. Anna Jay is, I think, the biggest star in the women's division, and the whole storyline with her and Tai Conti and Dark Order being there. She should have won, man. She should be the champion.
And then it gets even worse. If we could say after a huge disappointment, Shida goes up the ramp and Abaddon.
And she was scared to death of her.
I'm not afraid of this ring reject with the blood coming out of the mouth. It was so corny. It was so bad. Everything about I hate everything about Abaddon. I'm just gonna throw it out there. Her look, I did not like her presence. I did not like her matches, her very few matches. What is this?
Yeah, no, this is a really weird opponent for Shida, for your world champion, to bring in someone who hasn't really even been built up. Abaddon's really just been, I don't know, a dark AEW dark wrestler, and to me just seems like a Undead Bride ripoff.
There's nothing good about the women's division. Like, none. The only thing good we've been saying is Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker. Thunder Rosa, Britt Baker. This was just forgettable. And I think, for everyone who's saying, oh, the women need more time, did this segment warrant the women needing more time? After we talked about how much we enjoy Impact's, their their knockouts tournament. Who's going to be the mystery partner? The AEW does nothing to make you want to see their women's division. And I don't think they
No,
have the talent to showcase either.
no. I mean, we've been saying it. The NWA title is more prestigious than the AEW women's title. Um, you have Serena Deeb, Britt Baker, Thunder Rosa, and I would put Anna Jay in there. Like,
Mm.
those are your four top women, and they should be treated better. Anna Jay should be the new AEW women's champion.
Yeah, I mean, and then you could have Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker fight for it. Thunder Rosa could win it, and then you have beat Anna Jay, and then you have Britt Baker, and you can build up those four women. Some long title reigns aren't everything to build up champions. I think remember Kane had it for like 24 hours, and since that moment, he was considered a main event guy. You got to do that with the women. It's okay to hot potato a title, I think, especially this title because it got nothing else going for it.
Yeah, so I think they said when Anna Jay debuted for AEW, I think she had 6 matches prior, and now look, she's already competing for the world championship. Is this the quickest rise in pro wrestling ever?
The cream rises to the top. So, next up, we have Pac and Ray Phoenix against the Butcher and Blade, and another surprising outcome as Butcher and the Blade defeat Phoenix and Pac.
I like it. They are guys that were in desperate need of a victory because I didn't take them serious at all.
I I don't I don't know. I'm confused. Again, this is their main event. What a downer for a main event. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to build Pac up as a main eventer or what's going on here. But I just did not I didn't care about the match. I didn't care about the ending. I'm like Butcher and the Blade are going over. How many again? What is up with jobbers getting wins? Like out of they're not being heated up at all.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. This shouldn't have been the main event. Jericho and Hager against SCU should have been the main event,
Mm.
and it should have been built as uh, 30 years, and Jericho and Daniels have never crossed paths.
Yeah.
That seems like the logical thing to me, especially with the screw job ending, and then you say, oh, next week catch whatever Jericho versus Kazarian or whatever the aftermath.
Yeah, this was a weirdly booked show. It felt like they don't care. They didn't care. It felt like there was no care about it because winter is coming and winter is next week and it's in 2 nights now. I just felt like they did not care about this episode at all, and they hot-shotted so many things to try to set up a thing that's was happening next week. But none of the people on this show feel like they're going to be on next week. Like, I mean, Abaddon, why would I want to see her featured next week? You know what I mean? You're like, the Hybrid 2 were there. They're not going to be there. The Bucks should be on there. Like, it felt like there was the only thing that really built up and stood out to me was the Kenny Omega Moxley, right? Kenny Omega Moxley and Taz. And I feel like you just there's no otherwise everything else was a complete miss for me all the way. There was no backstage segments to really entertain. There was no entertaining backstage segments. There was no, you know, paradigm shift, if you will, in anybody getting over. It felt like there was no stars on there whatsoever. The Young Bucks weren't featured. They were only out in the beginning for a little. You know, Darby Allin is your champion. He's not on the show. Who cares? It just felt like you need talent on there or someone involved in storylines, and they had neither this week. And I just felt like it was a total miss all around, outside of Omega Moxley and Team Taz. That's it.
Yeah, I enjoyed the episode. I was actually surprised when you hated as much as you did. But I also watched it after you told me that, so I was I don't know if maybe I didn't look at it as critical, but I don't know.
I
Here, I feel like you have valid points, but I don't know. That I will say this: that Taz promo was the best thing on the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing where that storyline goes with his now that his kid's involved.
Yeah, they. You know what? It made me think, and I texted Primetime this, and this is a shoot. I said, if it weren't for winners coming next week, I'd want to take a break from AEW. It was so I was just I ever since Tony Khan said we're gonna change the landscape, and Pac was there, and Pac's been treated like a chump, and Butcher and the Blade, you just like you. I just felt like there's no direction for the first time since watching AEW. I felt like there's no direction, and I don't feel like on this rocking roller coaster. It's not a good one where there's up and downs. It's not like an Impact where everything flows so nicely. Backstage segment, in-ring match, storyline backstage segment where it made you interested from start to finish. This I felt like I don't really care. And I felt if it weren't for Moxley and Omega next week, I think that's what they really banked on. They banked on wanting you to see Team Taz and Moxley next week, that maybe they could flow in this fluff and stuff. And I didn't like it.
Well, you're always going to have Impact to to bring you up. We have Impact tomorrow. We have winners coming the day after that. For anyone who's been keeping tabs on our fantasy league, I dominated the first month. Then Phil crushed me. Probably the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And then I live or die by Impact, so I had like a really strong couple of weeks with Impact's pay-per-view and Talking Shop of Mania. I pulled into the lead. I think I'm 2 points ahead of you now.
104 to 102 in a tight matchup. That's and that's why I can't afford, even if I play Moxley, I can't afford to lose the points. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, even if I don't get the points, that's okay. It's at this point I can't lose points, and I gotta evaluate my sitch right now to figure out who I'm going to. Because I played with my heart, Johnny Swinger, and I got one more move left for the rest of the year. So I took a flyer on the Swing Man because I love him, right? And maybe I should have started him to get that People's Court victory, but I was looking at my roster today, and I was taking a look at Chris Jericho hasn't wrestled in 3 weeks, right? He finally got me a point, right? Drew McIntyre he lost the title, gained it back, not on a pay-per-view, so I didn't get that extra pay-per-view victory point, right? Moxley hasn't wrestled, right? Street Profits have me 17 points, thank goodness, right? Cody has been losing. He was 3-1-1. Now he's 3-4-1. FTR, they lost me their points, right, and haven't been seen since. Best Friends haven't wrestled on Dark or the main roster in a while. And when they have, they've lost to Miro. Sheeta wrestles once in a blue moon. So thankfully, Team Taz has me 16 points. The Street Profits have me 17 points. And Moose he's 1-1-0, and he lost me the DQ, giving me points. So it was a tough. And I have Birdie Lee on the bench. He's hurt, hasn't been wrestling. Keith Lee is 2-4, right? Where he lost me 2 points, so he's gained me 0 points because of the DQs, right? And Johnny Swinger doesn't wrestle, so I gotta reevaluate my sitch here because you're all your guys are coming back from Impact, so
Yeah.
I gotta fight fire with fire.
The weird thing is the best thing that ever happened to me, I think, was Karrion Kross getting injured because I drafted Roman Reigns, and Roman Reigns is the top point getter in our league right now with 19 points. The guy's a monster.
And we didn't expect it either. We didn't expect it, and this isn't this the great book? He's being essentially booked the same way prior to him being out, but just the heel persona is it's amazing. I cannot get enough of. And don't did you see the contract signing with him and Drew before Survivor Series when he pulled the chair to the head of the table? Like that was just a nice little. I wonder who said, "Okay, Roman," whether it was Roman or Paul. It was one of the two that said that, and maybe even Daniel Bryan, because apparently Daniel Bryan is like the key writer of this story. It's got all you want in professional wrestling.
Yeah, no, it was really good. I wasn't aware of that with Daniel Bryan being involved in the story.
And Triple H is writing. I forget what storyline he's in charge of right now. I can't remember, but both their storylines are pretty good. And I had to think about SmackDown, which one it is. But yeah, Daniel Bryan's been like the lead writer for the Roman Reigns stuff.
That's great, man. So, Phil, where can people find you at?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Animated Phil.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Coney Waves. Make sure you subscribe to Primetime Poulton, hit the notifications, and Phil and I will see you guys next week, man. Maybe even this week. Maybe we'll do 2 shows if you're able to watch everything and record on Friday.
I'll be able to record on Friday, whatever time you let me know.
All right, you heard it here. We're gonna hold him to it. All right, guys, we will see you next Friday.
Yeah,
Bye.
and we may do a best friend show too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We'll see you.